Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Opened in 1960 by Bruton Smith and NASCAR driving legend Curtis Turner, with the running of the longest stock car race in history, the World 600. The Charlotte Motor Speedway closed before it would ultimately become the home track of so many NASCAR teams. Just a year after the first race, the 1.5-mile oval was in bankruptcy, done in by a huge infield rock formation that ballooned construction costs far beyond what its two founders had forecast. 65 years later, everything is different. More than 94,000 seats ring the racetrack, which was the first speedway to install lights for night racing, the first racetrack to incorporate a condominium apartment complex overlooking the speedway, the first to build an office complex with the same view, the first racetrack to sell naming rights, and the first to open a year-round club where members can spectate during races and socialize with fellow club members at other times. Everything is different from 1960 except for one thing. Charlotte Motor Speedway, still owned by the Smith family. Tonight, it's race 13 of the Vigilante Racing League, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway Race 13, Season 11 of the Vigilante Racing League here, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Race details tonight, 133 laps the distance, 71-degree ambient temperature, 85% humidity, partly cloudy skies, 9-mile-per-hour breeze, track temperature at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers working with a 70% fuel load tonight gives them a fuel pit window between 31 and 35 laps. 5 sets of tires over the wall, plenty of rubber available tonight. No fast repairs, 1 attempt at a green-white checkered finish if we need it. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm Steve Singer with Track Limits Network, joined in the broadcast booth by Chris Goins. What's going on, Chris? Thanks for joining us yet again.
Hey, Steve. What's going on, buddy? Good to hear from you.
Just getting excited here. Qualifying already underway here at the Speedway. We'll check things out, see where everyone is stacking out. Right now, it's the 81 of Osborne who's fastest at 29.497 currently. Then it's, let's see, Tim Pope jumps up to the second spot. Scott Roney third, Wittenberg fourth, and Alan Vaught fifth. Saw a very clean race last night in the Num Thumbs Racing League. They ran the whole thing, 130 laps, just a few laps shorter, with just one caution all evening long. Very clean event that, Chris, you participated in. Had a strong run. Talk to us about your race last night.
Yeah, we came home P4, I believe. My memory serves me right. It was relatively uneventful. Just kind of maintained a spot in the top 10 the whole race. Just looking after some tires. I didn't really have the early takeoff speed. I had the long run speed when it came to tire saving and stuff. So had a little bit later pit stop than everybody else at the end, and was able to utilize those to kind of score a couple of extra positions there at the finish. So tires are going to be key here tonight, probably just like they were last night. So we'll see who can conserve those.
Interesting. The guys were able to do a good job saving their tires last night. Again, big difference between these two leagues. Similar race distances, but not similar tire allotments. 2 sets available over the wall last night. We've got 5 here tonight.
Yeah, these the tires, they do have some fall off. I know you said the fuel window is around 30 to 35 or so. These tires, if you're not careful, they'll start to fall off around 10 or 12 laps. You notice a big difference, and then there's a big fall off after about 20. So you still are going to see some guys that will kind of fall back just from running the tires real hard. They'll be able to change a lot more frequently, but I think you'll maybe see some strategy plays too, because you may see some late 2-tire stops to gain position to see if they can maintain. Now we'll see what happens.
Qualifying complete here. Only a 5-minute session to set the field here tonight. Just about everyone, with the exception of Sean McDonald, David Feit, Russ Kilgore, has locked into time in this session. So they will ultimately start towards the rear of the field. With that said, let's just get right to it. Let's take a look at our starting grid. On the pole position with a lap time of 29.497 seconds, it's the number 81 of John Osborne. Outside front row, Derek Welch missed it by 21 thousandths of a second. Row number 2, it's Josh Bittner and Andrew Player. Row 3, it's the 7 of Timothy Pope and Scott Roney. Row number 4, Mike Adamson, Dylan Bryant. Row 5, Jack Dixon and John McAdam. Starting in the 11th position, it's Ricky Wittenberg and Alan Vaught. The number 33 will start in the 12th position. 13th starter, it's Chris Klein. 14th goes to Dustin Wade. 15th starter is the 75 of Stoney Benfield. Dustin Eaton will roll off in the 16th position. 17th starter, it's the 89 of Craig Goodenough from Team Tang. Dave Mayberry will start 18th. The 53 of Jeremiah Burke will roll 19th. 20th starter is Mike Everidge. John Gallagher, 21st. Greg Dobson, 22nd. 23rd starter, it's Dion Jones. Kyle Vaught, 24th. 25th, Andrew Cawthon. Kelly Cool, 26th. 27th starter is Greg Klein. Anthony Williams, 28th. 29th is Trevor Robertson in the 6th. Larry Dickerson will roll 30th. 31st starter, it's Kevin Hunt. Sean McDonald, 32nd. 33rd, David Feit. Shotgun on the field in the number 2. 34th starter is Russ Kilgore. It's your starting grid here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Still waiting for a few drivers to get gridded up here. Looks like Josh Bittner, Craig Goodenough. As soon as they get gridded, that pace car can start to roll away. Looks like Josh Bittner is going to start from pit lane. So with that, the pace truck starting to roll off. Race details again tonight. 133 laps the distance, 71-degree air temp, 87% humidity, partly cloudy skies, breeze coming down slightly at 7 miles per hour, 72-degree track temperature. The driver's working on a 70% load of fuel tonight, 30 to 35 laps the window, 5 sets of tires available over the wall. No fast repairs, 1 attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Well, you got a pick there, Goins?
Man, I tell you what, I'm going on a limb here. I'm going with the 88, Mike Adamson.
Adamson in the 88. I'm going to go with the 81 of Osborne. I know it's going on a limb, but
Not a bad choice.
Green flag.
green flag in the air. We're off and running from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Field clean through turns 1 and 2. Osborne leads Pope down into turn number 3. Derek Welch slots into the 3rd position. 4th belongs to Player. Adamson 5th. And Lyra loses Pope. Contact from Derek Welch. Pope spins up the racetrack, and we got our first big one at the end of lap number 1.
How are you doing there, bud?
What a mess we have at the start here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tim Pope got a little loose in the middle of 3 and 4. Slight contact after the fact from Derek Welch. Completed the job. And we are under yellow already here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wow. Pope able to drive away. Try to get you guys a replay here in a moment. Watch it here, the 7. You see him already stepping out. Of course, that breaks his momentum. Really nowhere for Derek Welch to go. Not enough time to react. Scott Roney gets into Pope, and then it's a chain reaction event after that. Alan Vaught gets a big piece. Chris Klein, Dixon, the 55. There's so many trucks involved in this one. This is really going to change the complexion of this event. Just stepped out on Pope. Albert Anderson making a very valid point here in the stream chat. I forgot to even mention it in the open. This is race 1 of their playoffs, the round of 12, if you will. Taking out a lot of contending drivers right off the bat. I mean, Chris, what do you really chalk that one up to? Just excitement to get this thing going? I mean, you don't usually see any kind of mistakes out of the driver of that 7 machine. And honestly, I wonder if he would have been able to bring it back if it weren't for the contact from the 21.
Yeah, with these, especially early laps, these cold tires, for some reason it's definitely more noticeable here with those cold tires. It just the rear end just steps out on you, under full throttle, especially that center lane. There's something about that center lane on cold tires that gets these trucks a little sideways. I don't know if he could have saved it. I think he probably could have with the skill level that Pope has, but with the 21, when you're running that close, even if you check up, I mean, you're not checking up to the extent that guy's sliding. So I can't really fault DW per se. Just that's middle lane, cold tires, first lap. It's just a whole whirlwind of ingredients there for a bad day.
Turn 4 also known to be pretty bumpy, but I thought that was more towards the top of the racetrack. I suppose that could upset the truck a bit as well, depending on how far Pope was. I don't know exactly where those bumps begin, but definitely on the high lane for sure.
Yeah, definitely, because you go right over that tunnel, the tunnel to exit the infield there, so you do notice those bumps a little bit. But like you said, it is a little bit more towards the high side. You don't really notice the tire slide as much if you're riding the bottom. That blue paint, that bottom line there, a lot of these guys you'll probably see, they'll hug that left side as close to that blue line. If you can get on the blue line, that actually helps you turn, both in real life and in the sim. So that's where I usually try to plant my tires for the majority of the run, really.
Certainly can help loosen up the truck if you're experiencing a tight condition, but you got to be careful too. As you get a little more grip than you bargained for, then you got a problem.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk. Fine blue line.
Well, let's try this again. Pace truck is in. Lap 5 will be the restart. Osborne and now Andrew Player on the front row.
Green flag.
Green back in the air. Field clean down the back straightaway. Osborne out to the advantage. A truck length back to the 51 of Dylan Bryant. Good to see, really. It seems like the majority of the drivers involved in that able to continue on. There's a handful not so lucky. Jack Dixon, Stoney Benfield, Mike Adamson, and Ricky Wittenberg. All still idle.
I would like to formally apologize to Mike Adamson and his team for picking him pre-race.
Just like that, we've got caution number 2. Mike Everidge in trouble. Yeah, I think it's the fastest I've won the picking.
I think that's the first time my broadcaster's curse has actually hit, especially like you said that quick. Sorry, Mike.
Well, let's look at caution number 2 here. The 82 of Mike Everidge appears to be the one involved here. Might have scraped the wall here at the start-finish line. Abruptly comes down the track into the path of another driver. Gets clipped, was not clear. Might have been clear when he started to turn down the racetrack, but by the time he got there was a ways to go. Was not. Not a major incident by any means. Everidge will continue on. His night not over. Just pride. Well, Jack Dixon in pit lane here, and he had a pretty special paint scheme on board here tonight. We were hoping to get some better pictures of it. Trying to get the best angle. Tough because he's not out on the racetrack. I'm just not going to win here. Meanwhile, some more pit stops underway. Pretty much the back half of the field going to come down and pit. But Jack was carrying the colors of MA3 Oscar J. Tamores at the request of, I believe, Lori. She says here in the chat, says, thank you for running this. He was like a son and definitely military brother to Brandon. Also, thank you to everyone that's running a Memorial Day scheme tonight. Very much appreciated. You will all get screen time in the broadcast. As the blimp rolls around, we'll get a better view on this. Tough way to end it, though. Tough way to start it for Jack Dixon, but either way, the effort was there. See Andrew Player there in the second spot. He's got a nice patriotic scheme on the number 13 this week. Derek Welch with a fresh scheme as well. John McAdam with a updated scheme. The 10 also. Andrew Cawthon. Dustin Eaton. A lot of red, white, and blue out there. It's going to be hard to call who's wrecking where, but we'll allow it, I guess.
Yeah, thank God we're not spotting for these guys, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Get a long green flag run here. We'll try to go through the field here and check out the rest of these schemes. So lights are off on the pace truck. Only 10 laps complete. It'll be lap 11 when we go back green. 2 cautions to speak of so far. Amanda Wade in the chat says, yikes, I just turned it on. It's been a rough start. I think they'll figure it out, though.
Yeah, this place tends to have usually has a tendency to stretch out there the longer they run. So hopefully we get that, like you said, that long run in here shortly.
Pace truck is in. Barney with the green in hand.
Green flag.
And the yellow is out. Big time wreck in turn number 2.
I know, man. I think we need to start putting like an age limit on racing or something, you know?
And they're still wrecking down the backstretch. What in the world is going on? This one's got a lot of drivers involved too. Kevin Hunt, Russ Kilgore, Trevor Robertson, Sean McDonald, Josh Bittner, Dave Mayberry, Craig Goodenough, Dion Jones, Mike Everidge, Alan Vaught, and Tim Pope involved again. 12 laps in, 3 cautions, and 2 of them pretty significant wrecks, something you'd likely see at Daytona or Talladega. I don't think anybody's even got any heat in the tires yet, which is probably what's contributing to this. And track temperature pretty cool at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. You're really going to need to get some laps in to get some temperature in the racetrack, temperature in the tire. Mike Everidge with some what appears to be pretty significant damage. Right front seemed to be bouncing off the racetrack. He's dropping sparks as he heads to pit lane.
He's missing that whole right front fender.
Everidge missed the box considerably here. Not like he's in a rush at this point, just trying to get some damage repaired on the 82. So again, working caution number 3, 13 laps in. Osborne's still out in front. He's got the safest view of all right now. Let's try and get a look what triggered this. Hunt comes up the track, door slams the 69, then comes down in front of Craig Goodenough. And then everybody else piles in after the fact. That's the tough part, too, about having incidents like this. If this happens 10, 15, 20 laps from now, it's nowhere near the size of a wreck that it is. But just after the restart, everybody's packed up, nose to nose.
Yeah, it magnifies those small mistakes when you got a group together like that, and there's just nowhere to go afterwards. Takes out a lot of good trucks.
Man, Larry Dickerson, very lucky to get through that one. Ready for the restart. Try it again here.
Green flag.
Green flag in the air. Osborne on the gas. continues to lead the battle for second, hot and heavy between the 13 of Andrew Player and Dustin Eaton. Settled down slightly. Dylan Bryant still runs fourth. Behind him, the battle with Eric Welch and Jeremiah Burke. They're side by side as they work down the back straightaway. Dickerson steps on the line, comes to the inside of John McAdam. McAdam, the 47 machine topside. One truck in the wall just a bit, didn't catch the truck. Maybe John Gallagher, indeed it was. Gallagher up 11 spots, running in the top 10 in 10th. Kelly Cool, bottom of the racetrack, in the red, white, and blue 0-1, battling with the 085. It's Greg Dobson on the top lane. Kelly running in the 14 spot, trying to press the 18 of Chris Klein for another position. Another battle behind them. The 84 of Josh Bittner gets to the inside of Kyle Vaught. Vaught in the 16. That for the 17th position. Deion Jones with a very patriotic scheme in his number 4. Deion running 21st. Back out front. Change for position. Second now belongs to Dustin Eaton. Got around Andrew Player. Now sets his sights on Osborne. Might have had Osborne for a moment. This was just a minute ago. Was to the inside of the 81. This for the race lead. Was not able to complete the pass. Almost making contact out of 4.
Caution.
And meanwhile, caution is back out. Looks like Chris Klein in trouble. Kyle Vaught the same. Oh, big time impact here. Exit of pit lane, the 16 hard into the wall. I think it may have started with a different incident to put us under the yellow. Klein gets to the inside of Cawthon. Cawthon looked a little indecisive in the dog leg. Klein makes contact. The 10 goes around. And it looks like Kyle just trying to avoid the 10. Turned it too hard to the left. Backs it into that safer barrier at the end of pit lane.
Yeah, it looks like with the 16, notice with these trucks, you get in the brakes too hard. That tends to bring the tail end around. We saw it last night, trying to get on pit road. One of the best in the business with Brian McCann, just get on the brakes too hard and it just kind of steps out on you. It looks like that's what happened to Kyle there.
I want to watch this from his onboard here. Almost seems like it surprised him. Oh, yeah. Not a lot of tire smoke that time either. That's usually the indicator, but he just didn't want to run anybody over. Great job by Kyle trying to avoid taking out somebody else, but in the process, I think he ruined his own night. Meanwhile, pit stops underway yet again. Everybody trying to top off the tanks here. They haven't run a whole lot of laps under green. I can't imagine anyone's going to take tires. Granted, they've got plenty to work with, so maybe. Yeah, Osborne's going to bolt on a set. I do find that surprising, though, Chris. They're really not even up to temp yet.
Yeah, I mean, as many caution laps have been run, I can't imagine that there's much tire wear on those at all. Like you said, I don't even think they've gotten a full temp.
Well, it looks like Bittner's going to stay out on the racetrack. He'll inherit the top spot, it looks like. Osborne will restart second. Well, what a difference a day makes. And it's really hard to pinpoint why it's happening. Again, we ran last night with a single caution the whole night. Dumb Thumbs Racing League and VRL, they are kind of hand in hand. I guess you could call them sister leagues. The talent pool is pretty equal across both leagues, so it's not an issue of skill that's causing this. I just can't put my finger on what the issue is here tonight. Is it just excitement? Is it being at Charlotte? It's kind of a home race for a lot of these guys. Wanting to put on a good show, the fresh paint schemes, I don't know.
I don't know either. I can't remember what the track temp was last night, but you know, cold track, taking it longer to get up to temps. I mean, that, you know, that'd be one thing that I could think about. But other than that, seems like it's pretty favorable conditions.
Well, pace truck lights have gone out. We're ready for the restart, and it looks like Bittner has opted for the top lane on this restart. Osborne will be to the bottom. Pace truck hits pit road.
Green flag.
Green back in the air. Bittner gets out to the early lead. The benefits of restarting first. Osborne now in a battle with Jeremiah Burke for second. Burke to the outside in the 53. Now Osborne putting it back on, and Burke, contact the middle of 3 and 4, shoots him up the racetrack. He keeps it out of the fence, and we stay green.
I think the product of getting a little loose, kind of sliding down into the car underneath. Good save by Jeremiah, though, for sure.
Top 5 now is Osborne, Josh Bittner, Andrew Player, Dustin Eaton, DW, Derek Welch. Bittner sporting the Ding Dongs color scheme this week. I could go for a ding dong.
I don't know that I've ever had one, Steve.
It's not what I heard. Burke trying to hang on inside the top 10 here, battling with the 69 of Larry Dickerson, kind of leading up this secondary pack. John Gallagher in the mix, Dylan Bryant there. Tim Pope hasn't given up yet. He's 11th after that first lap crash. Really does seem like these trucks are dancing around the racetrack a whole lot more than we saw last night, though.
Yeah, one thing I was noticed before that last caution was I'm surprised to see how many guys have gone to the top side already. I mean, you know, the top side gets you that run off the corner, and you can kind of keep it wound up there, but at the cost of grip And you know, you got marbles up there to an extent, and then just the tire wear overall. You know, you're staying in the throttle more. I'm just surprised to see as many of these guys. I mean, I understand when you're running 2x2, but even the single file, you see these guys kind of running up high too. So, like, I mean, even the leader Osborne is running up against the wall. So I was just surprised to see these guys move up so high so early.
Well, you made comments to that effect even at Charlotte this weekend. You said, I never thought I'd see the day where the guys were running the top lane at Charlotte, and it didn't seem to matter what series it was. It was Cup, it was Trucks, Xfinity. They were all running the top.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to going to Charlotte since I was a kid, and you know, this weekend was really the first weekend that I've seen numerous people up there. I mean, you get the one-offs and stuff, but you know, you saw pretty much everybody riding the wall. So it definitely surprised me, and I mean, I guess the sim does imitate real life. So
Bittner still dropping back after a front row restart. Stayed on the racetrack. I'm actually surprised to see the tires for him didn't hold up better than they did. Runs in the 8th position now, but for how long? Pope looking racy behind him, jumps to the inside. Bittner up the racetrack, and Pope's going to take it with ease. Jonathan Osborne still the race leader here. He started from pole position, really hasn't missed a lap where he has not been the leader. Enjoying a half-second advantage back to Andrew Player, Dustin Eaton, Derek Welch, John McAdam. At least that's the top 5. They're all starting to stretch things out here. Single file at Charlotte Motor Speedway after a very exciting start to this race. Guys in the back haven't learned yet. They're still racing pretty hard back here. Burke and Bryant going at it. Burke to the top in the 53. Bryant down low to his inside. Through turns 1 and 2. Slips up the racetrack a bit. Burke gives him room to do it. And yellow on the speedway.
Kind of talk me through what's going on again.
And Dave Mayberry involved in this with Greg Dobson. Oh, this started way ahead. Mike Adamson. I believe that's the 88. Spin in there in turn 3. Maybe it wasn't. Sure as heck looked like the 88.
I think it was the 68 of Dustin Wade there, Steve.
Believe you're right, sir. So does he have some help? Definitely contact. Almost gets up on his lid. Mayberry nowhere to go. Just gets in the driver's side. Wasn't for a lack of trying. He locked the brakes down. It just too much momentum slid him up the racetrack in front of traffic. So 38 laps in, caution number 5. Osborne still the leader. Greg Dobson reporting in the stream chat. Looks like a break for me. 13 minutes of repairs. Deion Jones with a mechanical issue, having problems with his wheelbase. He's trying to get back in. This is just a weird night, Chris. I don't get it.
I have no idea. Being a part of the race last night, I know how difficult it can be after, a long run, but I don't think we've made it to that long enough run to really see the drop off that we saw last night, and that made it a little bit more interesting, for the lack of a better term, to drive these trucks. So hopefully we get to that point and we'll see who can maintain, their equipment, but hopefully we get there soon.
That's all we can do is hope. Fingers crossed here. Pace truck lights have gone out, so we'll get the restart at lap 40. All right, pace truck is in. Osborne player, front row.
Green, green, green.
There it is, green flag in the air. Osborne unable to get away now. Dustin Eaton all over the back bumper. Out of turn number 4. He is right there. Couple of trucks scrape the wall off turn number 2. Everybody continues down the road with their foot to the floor. Eaton now drops it to the low side of the racetrack, trying to put some air on the nose of his Toyota. Nothing doing there. Osborne maintains the race lead. Osborne maintains the top spot, but I think he's going 10/10ths right now, trying to stay ahead of the 14 of Dustin Eaton. Meanwhile, players starting to reel in the 14 as well. Derek Welch waiting in the wings. Larry Dickerson up into the 5th spot after a 30th place start. Now Eaton's got to look in the rearview mirror instead of out the windshield, trying to hold off the 13. Eaton doing a really good job of maximizing that corner way up the top of the racetrack, just inches off the wall before turning. Still carrying that momentum on the top lane, really not going deep into the corner, just continuing to carry that momentum all the way through, down the straightaway, through the dogleg. Still a truck length and a half, maybe 2 off the tailgate of Osborne. Now a battle for 3rd. Derek Welch working the top, getting around the 13 machined of Andrew Player. Larry Dickerson's going to go with him. Battle for second with Welch and Eaton, I think, is really what's allowing Osborne to maintain that top spot. Eaton checks up, though, as he was sliding up the racetrack in the middle of 3 and 4. Big time shortcut there for Kelly Kuhl. Don't know if he's going to get dinged for that one. All 4 wheels through the painted surface in the dog leg. What is the rule with that, Chris? We saw a little bit of that last night, drivers going through that paint, that artificial turf area in through the dog leg. I know when it first got painted for the Roval, they kind of really made that an issue where if you got too far below that line, they would give you a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, so I utilize that to my advantage to some extent. That actually does not count as a his might because he got all 4 off, but when you're halfway over, you definitely don't get the off track for it.
Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Osborne still trying to hang on, but it looks like Derek Welch is going to take it away. Osborne now back to second. Larry Dickerson looking very racy there in the 3rd spot as well. Some contact was made between the 69 and the 81 while Welch was out in front. Both drivers slamming doors, but everybody's continued on still. The battle for these top 3 positions still hot and heavy. Albert Anderson says Osborne and fresh air are going to be hard to pass. Well, that didn't age very well, Albert. Derek Welch got it done, but Osborne still hanging on. Dickerson slots in, clears the 81 of Osborne, but not by much, and I'd be willing to bet Osborne didn't lift enough at all. Kelly Kuhl now in the 4th spot. Andrew Player is slopped back to 5th. Tim Pope battling with John McAdam. This for the 7th position. Pope tucks in behind. Now the 51 of Dylan Bryant's taking a look. Albert Anderson says, "Alrighty then, let me keep my mouth shut." I think I was just slow at reading it, Albert.
Howard does have a point, though. When these trucks are in fresh air, it is, with all that downforce, it is much easier to drive than it is when you're tucked in behind somebody like you see the 7 car behind Dylan Bryant here.
Clean air is king in many, many cases. Certainly here at Charlotte. Is Bryant losing connection for a moment?
I will say, once again, we talked about it earlier, but I am really surprised to see as many of these trucks running up high, especially in line with each other, because like we just talked about, the wake that these trucks put off, it tightens that back truck up a lot, and there's no room for error. As you see Dickerson going after Welch for the lead here.
Dickerson way down the bottom of the racetrack, like Chris mentioned early on, hooking that left front on the blue paint, letting that truck turn at the bottom of the racetrack. Welch trying to battle back, carries the momentum through the dog leg into turn number 1.
And see, you just saw it right there with GW getting that run off the high side, but with on that bottom side, it does tend to
he's in the
push.
fence.
You see 21 on the wall.
You make a good point there, Chris, though. Dickerson's going to try it himself. He'll go to the top now. Maybe he can make it work.
Yeah, he'll get the run off the corner. DW here on that bottom. You can hug it, but it will. It tends to push you off, push you tight up towards that wall. So you have to be careful. You got to lift getting in. These trucks. A lot of people, will try to run these trucks as you see DW up in the wall once again there. So at this point, if I'm DW, I'm moving back down to the bottom. So. But with these, you definitely tend to push, and there's just little room up there. So I'm moving to the bottom to try and not run this thing full throttle all the way through. You lift getting in, and you get that run down the corner or down the straight, even from the bottom lane.
Maybe even change up your approach from one end of the racetrack to the other. Run the top in 1 and 2, go to the bottom in 3 and 4, just because the top lane there tends to be a little bit bumpier in the exit of 4. So new leader is Larry Dickerson. New second place machine, Kelly Kuhl. Dickerson starting back in the 30th position. Kuhl back in 26th. Running 1 and 2 here, not even halfway from Charlotte. Albert Anderson in the chat says, yeah, that kind of aged like a can of RC Cola. I was thinking milk, but yeah, same thing. I don't know about you, I'm not a big fan of aged milk unless it's blue cheese.
Not a big fan of RC Cola either.
Yeah, right. Dylan Bryant, though, on a charge towards the front. Now he's to the back bumper of John Osborne. Bryant was quick last night, too. Not a surprise as Osborne scrapes the right side of his truck in the safer barrier in the middle of 3 and 4. Bryant will take the spot, so move the 51 up to P4. Meanwhile, Andrew Cawthon's going to hit pit lane. Now, I imagine this could be a scheduled stop. It's a little early if it is. But Andrew's going to bolt some tires on. Dustin Eaton and Craig Goodenough side by side. This also for position. Goodenough takes the 11th spot for the time being, but Eaton battles back on the bottom. More pit stops. Derek Welch, Kelly Kuhl, Osborne, some front runners here on pit lane. Welch cleanly into his pit stall. John Osborne the same. Mr. Anti-Shadowboxing himself doing it there. I see what's going on. Got to call him out a little bit. John McAdam, Larry Dickerson, Russ Kilgore. All in pit lane. Now injured player Tim Pope, Craig Goodenough, Dustin Eaton. So that'll move Dylan Bryant up to the race lead here. Chris Klein, Kyle Vaught, Jeremiah Burke, Scott Roney, the top 5. And they made their last pit stops at lap 37. So 5 to 10 laps, I'd expect to see these front runners, those top 6 drivers make their trip to pit lane. Right now, it's only 5 trucks on the lead lap, though, so if the caution comes out now, this is going to change the game completely. Fingers crossed we don't run into that.
That's the strategy I was playing last night, and I didn't get it either, so get everybody back on the lead lap here, too.
Bryant's still battling with Josh Bittner here. I think Bittner's just trying to stay in a lead lap position. I got to see where Bittner is on the running order. Josh Bittner shown in the 20th position. Still not on the lead lap, though. Got one of them back going by Bryant there. Gonna be much easier when those guys pit.
Yeah, and I don't know, looking at the laps here, Steve, I don't know if Dylan can push it that far, but if he can make it another 5 or 6 laps, he may put himself in a window to be able to pit only one more time for the end of the race if it stays green. So we could be seeing him trying to set himself up for that.
Well, he made a pit stop at lap 37. We went green at lap 40. Pit window for fuel was 30 to 35, so 4, 5, 6, 7. So, yeah, he's getting there. If he's careful, one more stop, he might be able to do that.
Yeah, he'll be one of the few. Maybe running the long game, hoping that it just stays green the whole rest of the race.
You got to wonder if he's realized that fact. If he hasn't, maybe it's time to back her down a bit and slow those lap times, save a little bit of fuel, add an extra lap or 2 to this run. Be well worth it if you can skip an entire pit cycle the next time. Really shows the difference in speed, though. These guys that made their pit stops very recently really running down Dylan Bryant. They're trying to get their lap back the hard way. Certainly not going to look difficult when they get there. Bryant knows it's just a matter of time for these guys to get their laps back, but now I guess the question is how much track position is he willing to give up being on the older tires? I know he's trying to shorten it up by reducing the number of stops, but at what point do you get into that land of diminishing returns?
Well, if it goes green and you can maintain that the one more stop strategy, then I think he puts himself in a really good position for it. Now, if he catches the caution, he still has one more extra set of tires, if he's trying to run it short. So one late caution, he could still have an extra set of tires too there. So I don't know. I think if I'm Dylan, I'm in a good position for the rest of the race either way, really.
Scott Roney, Chris Klein on pit lane. Trevor Robertson further down the lane. He's coming down as well.
Does need is a break in the traffic to be able to get back to the bottom and be able to make that pit stop. He can't do it with that freight train underneath him, new tire.
Bryant's in the position right now. He can pit and still make it on one more stop if he had to. 61 laps to the end here, the fuel window being 30 to 35. I'd say what's an average is probably a 33. Only one attempt at a green-white checkered if we need it. I think he's good to go. I think if I'm Dylan Bryant, I'm going to pit as soon as I can here. Or like you said, Chris, maybe he's just waiting for that yellow or that last drop of fuel to go through the jets of the carb.
Yeah, well, the yellow right now wouldn't benefit him at all because so many people have gotten their laps back. He'd still be back in traffic. I mean, he would have newer tires, but it would kind of defeat the strategy of having that extra set or, making it on one more stop. At this point, if I'm Dylan, I'm not wanting a caution. I'm going to take my lumps on the next run. Know that I'm going to be running kind of mid-pack. Latter half of the top 10, and just run my race. You're not really racing anybody else other than the time and the track at this point. Him moving to the bottom, I think you're going to see him come into the pits this time by, it looks like.
And you call it right, Chris. Off turn 4, down the bottom of the racetrack, into pit lane comes Dylan Bryant. One of the last 2 to pit. Dylan Bryant, Kyle Vaught, first and second place, hit pit road. Now, the other thing is, too, enough laps have surpassed that they get back out there on these fresh tires. They're going to be much faster than those that came down in that lap 60, lap 61 cycle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see just now the leaders are going by, so he's going to stay on the lead lap, and he's going to be, back after the lead lap, but he's going to make up some time. He's not going to be able to run the leaders back down, but if he can, like you said, we were talking about, if he can eliminate one whole pit stop, that's going to save so much time for him in the long run. Just got to watch that line coming out.
I think he's in that land now where he's already eliminated the one. One more to go, and he can call it a night.
Yep. Those guys that pitted, what was it, lap 61 or something like that, those guys cannot make it to the end, I don't think. Not without extreme savings.
So Bryant rejoins the race in about the 17th spot. As you called it, Chris, stays on the lead lap. Now, if I'm him at this point, yes, you got the fresher tires, so you're just naturally going to be quicker. Do you push the issue now, or do you just kind of go out and run consistent laps every lap?
You just want to stay safe at this point. Get out there. You're going to be faster just by default. I think you run it hard, but you don't push the issue when it comes to passing cars in front of you. So I think you'll see him be a little bit patient with Roney, depending on. And one thing I did notice is a lot of times that high side is where you want to be, sending it in the one on the slower cars in front of you. So, but at this point, you just want to take care of your stuff, not cause any issues, because he's still in a good position where after the next round of pit stops, if another caution comes out, then he still has another extra set of tires that the others may not have, right? So I think Dylan's in a good spot right now, as long as he's just smart and maintains his race.
Other advantage he has is, for the most part, he's got relatively clean air out in front of him. No real packs of trucks up in front to dirty up the air for the aerodynamics on that 51. So that's almost like he's out there running laps as the race leader. So it's comfortable to drive for him right now. It's kind of doing what he wants it to do.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, every once in a while you do want somebody in front of you just so you can kind of gauge how you're running as far as pace goes based on those guys. But
really doing a great job, man.
Caution's out.
We'll keep working on this thing for you.
Dave Mayberry in trouble.
Okay.
Slow on the bottom of the racetrack. Corners a little rounder on that truck than they were.
This will be an interesting decision for Dylan. I want to keep my thoughts to myself here for a minute, but we'll talk about that.
Well, he's 17th. There's 19 trucks in the lead lap. If I'm him, I almost come down, top off. Don't necessarily take the set of tires, but give yourself some insurance for that green-white checkered.
And I'm the opposite of that, Steve. Because you're 17th, I think you're going to see the leaders pit here because they've got 20 laps on their tires. I think you're going to see them come in and pit, but you've only got three or four laps on your tires here. I think you stay out and get the track position.
It's a fair point.
I'm sure Dylan will yell at us, after the race for giving away a strategy.
Well, we gave two strategies, so.
Yeah, exactly. Here they come.
Good call, though. Leaders come down. See if Dylan stays out. Nope, he's going to pit with him.
Good call, Steve.
I think it's a matter of, everybody's coming down, and Dylan's only made 3 stops, so he still actually has 2 sets sitting over the wall.
Well, and you never know. You could see him keep the tires off, keep the 4 tires on the ground and just take a splash of fuel like you mentioned and get back out. So he's still going to gain some track position that way. We'll see.
Oh, he's changing them. It's an interesting call. It's one thing I wish iRacing would incorporate into the sim is the ability to use your scuffs.
Yeah, that would change a lot.
And honestly, I don't see why you couldn't. I can't imagine it would be that difficult for iRacing to incorporate that. You know the wear percentage on the tires when they come off, because in practice, obviously, you can go and check that. You can even look at it during the race. Once you pull the tires, you can get an indication of how much wear is left. I know it adds another layer of, okay, I got to select this, select that, select this, but sure, just map a button. Do I want stickers or do I want the scuffs? Should write a letter.
If real quick, looking at the leaderboard there on the left, look at Kyle Vaught. If you pay attention, if I'm not mistaken, he pit that same lap that Dylan Bryant did.
Yes, he did.
Under the green. So maybe did he come in and top off? I can't tell.
No, he did not. His last pit stop was lap 74, so that was right when Dylan Bryant came down as well. He took 4 tires and fuel during that stop, so he stayed out during this yellow flag to pick up all that track position. So it looks like both of our ideas worked out. You said stay out, pick up the track position. I said come in and get some fuel. They both did, one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we'll at least get to see which one's most beneficial for him.
Field in turn 2 here. We're going to get a quick look here at the Dave Mayberry incident that put us under this yellow. All by himself, just real loose off of 2, comes around on him.
And I think that is a byproduct of, if you look at the rear of his truck, he is missing the tailgate and has some damage there. I think that is a direct byproduct of that damage there, the wind coming over the...
Yeah, that rear TV panel being missing from that truck really changes the downforce numbers in the back of that thing, so that's not a surprise at all to see. All right, front row, Kyle Vaught, Derek Welch. Welch out there with the fresher tires. First truck on new. Granted, there's only a 6-lap difference, and I think only 2 or 3 of them were under green.
Green.
Green in the air. Dickerson taking a look to the inside into turn number 3, wants that race lead. I'm surprised Welch wasn't able to jump up there quicker. Welch, though, may follow suit here, but Kyle battles back on the outside.
Caution.
And we've got trouble.
How about water pressure, temperature right there?
Hard hit there. Not sure.
Trying to find out who it was. There we go. Oh, they had him. Dylan Bryant. Oh, no. Well, that pit strategy bit him. Let's take a look. Gallagher up the racetrack, gets the wall, and kind of a chain reaction incident with Coffin and Dylan Bryant.
That's a lot of damage there for the 51.
Yeah, that's not good. Oh, this started up ahead. Oh, yeah, it's big hit for the 51.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the 10 saw the 123, and who's that? The 53, Jeremiah Burke, kind of make contact, and he kind of was anticipating it and came down and just kind of collected Dylan. Wrong place, wrong time for the 51.
Trying to get a better look here as to what triggered the reaction behind these guys. It looks like Allen coming up here might have made some contact with Kilgore, or Kilgore gets the wall. No, Osborne gets the wall, then Kilgore, then McAdam. And then further back, that's where the main incident happens.
Track, I think you're going to see everybody hit the wall out of 4 at some point tonight. That's just how this track feeds you right up that way. If you're not careful with it, you're going to catch it.
Dylan Bryant with some pretty severe right front damage. That truck definitely with some suspension issues. Looks like it's trying to jerk the wheel right out of his hand.
Maybe too much to repair in 47 laps.
Lights still on the pace truck here. We are going to take a side-by-side break here in a moment. We're going to stick with it, though, until we get the restart, maybe a lap or two in, and then we'll cut away. But we'll be side-by-side. You won't miss a moment of the action, so don't go anywhere. So front row will be Kyle Vaught, Larry Dickerson on the restart. And then second row, it's Derek Welch, John Osborne, and it looks like Andrew Player and Dustin Eaton in row 3. Craig Goodenough, Alan Vaught working their way up too. They're in the 4th row. And then 5th row, it's Tim Pope, Russ Kilgore. Pope, seen this number of times with him. We don't see him in a ton of wrecks, but when he does get involved in one, as long as the truck's somewhat fixable, he stays with it. Picks up as many points as possible, and there he is running in that top 10 still here late in this race. Pace truck is in.
Green flag.
Oh, Derek Welch, got to be careful. Larry Dickerson on your outside. You don't want to get right reared. Close quarter battle between Welch and Dickerson out of 2. Now they're in 3 and 4. Back to the front stretch here. It's Kyle Vaught with the lead. Welch second. Welch with a run to the outside, looking for the race lead. Gets alongside Kyle Vaught, nose out in front into 3. Dickerson and Osborne keep their truck about a half a truck's width up the racetrack from Welch on the entry to 3. Stays tucked in behind. Coming to the stripe, Welch has the lead for now. DW finally clear. Kyle Vaught back to 3rd, now 4th, losing positions. Dickerson swaps lanes, gets to the inside in turn 3. Now the battle between Welch and Dickerson for the race lead. "91 laps in the books here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Lots of action, chaos at the beginning. Now it's just getting racy. We're going to step aside, though. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, John Osborne battling with Larry Dickerson for the race lead. Osborne, the pole sitter. Haven't seen much of him out in front here for a little while, but he's back up there in contention. Dickerson, though, on the prowl, out in front, gets cleared by a half truck of the 81 with 99 laps up on the board. Talking about guys we haven't really seen near the front here tonight. Alan Vaught into the top 5, running in the 4th position now, quietly working his way forward.
Caution, caution.
And yellow is on the speedway.
Like a protein shake or a bar or anything like that?
And I don't know why.
This will bring an interesting decision here, Steve.
Well, it wasn't Dave Mayberry. Oh, there it is. Oh, the one of David Fite almost going airborne. Kelly Cool just slips up the track a bit, gets into the left rear.
As crazy as that looks, Steve, I think the one got out of it pretty easy and may not have hardly any damage from that.
Well, you were talking about some important decisions here, and here it is. Pit lane, a busy place right now. Everybody coming down to stop, knowing they can make it from here.
I think one person this is going to help out is 16 there, Steve. We saw him kind of free-falling down with 6 or 7 lap older tires. This kind of keeps him close to that top 10. He'll be on the same tire strategy and probably has an extra set based on his previous pit cycle.
Larry Dickerson's going to win the race off. Then it's Osborne, Alan Vaught, Derek Welch, Andrew Player. That'll appear to be our top 5 when we go back racing. So, I don't know about you, Chris. I know when I was racing more on a regular basis, even in this circumstance where I thought I was in good shape, I'm still saving as much as I can under caution.
1000%. I'm shutting the truck off as much as I can.
Osborne definitely rolling around in 4th gear, but man, you can clutch that thing and coast for a little bit if you wanted.
Here's an interesting thing to watch for too, Steve. As close as it is on fuel, these guys that like to run the high side, they're going to be burning more fuel up there. It's the longer way around. So I wonder how many you see actually move to the bottom.
It's a valid point. Going to get the restart here with 31 laps to go. Albert Anderson makes a good point. This is my living room couch, the safest seat in the house tonight. There's a chance that he may have scored more points not starting this race tonight. Interesting tidbit, Charlotte Motor Speedway soon to get an update in iRacing. Whether it's
really,
just,
I didn't see that.
Just artwork, I believe. I think the track scan will stay the same, but I think they're just doing some upgrades. Forgot where I read that over the weekend.
That'll be cool. Who's that coming in?
Andrew Player, unscheduled stop, maybe a penalty to serve. We'll see.
Green flag.
Green flag in the air. Vaught now to the second spot, jumps to the high lane, takes a look to the outside. Oh, 3 wide behind the leaders. Do they get through it okay? They do. Burke's able to get away from that melee, but still 3 wide behind. Welch, the meat and the sandwich, good enough on the bottom. Dustin Eaton up top. They get through it now. Kilgore on the bottom. 1 truck in the wall. I think that's the 123 of Gallagher. Battle for the race lead is on. Out of turn 2, Alan Vaught looking to the inside on Larry Dickerson. Osborne pushing to 33 with all his might. I think Allen was more inclined to tuck in behind Dickerson there, but was too close, wasn't clear, had to stay alongside. It's actually going to screw up his 3 and 4 a little bit, but he'll take another look, but no, Dickerson slams the door. Now the door open for Osborne, looking to the outside of Vaught, but here comes Jeremiah Burke looking for action. Now Osborne to the inside for the second spot. Alan Vaught up top in the Mobile 133. Drag racing down the backstretch into turn number 3, and there's trouble behind. Sean McAdam and others involved. Yellow on the Speedway. This takes care of the fuel concerns. Looks like McAdam got up in the marbles there, got a little loose, tried to straighten it out. Fight tries to go to the inside, but he's going to clip the 92. So Greg Klein, just an innocent bystander here. Then McAdam, who effectively kind of started this, again, unintentionally. Might have got through it okay if it weren't for that. All kinds of loose. Did a good job hanging on to it, but Fight, kind of an overreaction there, gets into Greg Klein. And look at this development. Leader Larry Dickerson's going to come down pit lane here and pit. He took tires the last stop. He's going to take his last set now. This is interesting. I don't know if I like this call.
I'm not sure, Steve.
I mean, Allen was coming in a hurry. I don't know if Larry would be able to hold him off all the way to the end, but he's going to have some work to do. There's not a ton of cars on the lead lap, or trucks, that is.
No, but we've seen what happens when you get caught back in the pack.
Get back there with the squirrels.
Get back there with, like Dylan Bryant, you know, he got caught back there with some traffic, and see how that turned out for him. Hopefully that's not the case here with Larry, but I am, like you, surprised that he came this early to this fire round.
So Dickerson there at the back of this pack. Shown in 14th. So it's not an impossible task, but the way those guys are racing on the last restart, he's definitely putting himself in the hornet's nest.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy thing is, we got, you know, Allen up here in the lead, I think, and Craig and Tim there in fourth and fifth. All those guys were involved in that lap 1 wreck. I mean, it started with Tim, but all those guys were involved. To see these guys, I don't know how many pit stops they've made, but I'm sure it's more than just the scheduled tire stops.
Well,
to see these guys fight through it.
Allen's made 8 pit stops so far this race, so he's been working on his truck. His last stop was a quick one, though, 14.20, so I think he's got all the damage repaired that he's going to get done. That was just a tire change and some fuel. But yeah, he's been working on this thing all race. Tim Pope's got 7 stops. Good Enough's got 7 stops.
Yeah, good to see these guys fighting through that and getting the trucks back up front here.
Albert Anderson in the chat. Larry's going to have to drive very aggressively to get back towards the front. And not picking on Larry here, Albert, but when does he not? That boy is hammered down every lap, every week.
Just take a second to appreciate Dustin Wade's comment, too, about Albert definitely won't be getting an EOL next week.
Yeah, that's true. All right, 25 to go. It'll be 24 remaining when we take the green flag. Front row, Alan Vaught, and looky, it's still Jonathan Osborne. Alan qualified 12th. Osborne started on pole. Tim Pope started in the 5th spot. He was fast in that first 3/4 of a lap, a little too fast, and the truck came around in 4. But he's stuck with it, and he's got a shot at this thing. Green flag in the air. Little stack up, change of lane there before start finish. I don't know if that's a rule in this league. We've talked about it in the past. I just keep forgetting to ask about it. Tim Pope side by side with Craig Goodenough. Goodenough on the bottom of the racetrack out of turn number 2 down the back stretch. Pope has a bit more of a run down into 3, but how deep does Goodenough go? Dustin Eaton gets the wall a bit before entry to turn number 1, slows his momentum a bit. Jeremiah Burke steps out of line, takes a peek to the inside, decides better to tuck back in behind. Looking again, but now Osborne's taking a look on Burke for the second spot. Both drivers go up the racetrack about 3/4 of a lane higher than Vaught. They swap back to the bottom here out of 4. Vaught might just be aero blocking a little bit here. See, Vaught is opening up the wheel a little bit earlier than everybody else there on the corner exit. Oh, Osborne real loose out of 4. Another battle for position, Dave Fight. John Gallagher, Robertson not on the lead lap. And we're going to go 3 wide into 3. Fight checks up. Vaught still the leader, Burke second, Osborne third. This is a battle for position between Gallagher and John McAdam. Andrew Player and Trevor Robertson not on the same lap as these other drivers here in this group. Player 3 laps down. Robertson 10 laps down. Greg Klein to the bottom of the racetrack, almost gets into the back of well, he does get into him, then does it again as they go up the racetrack. That seems like a vendetta to me. He hit him 3 times. Caution on the Speedway.
How are you doing there, bud?
McAdam goes around, and he had lots of help. Well, I must have missed something. There was something there for sure. Let's go back and look at this. I'm going to back it up a little further because looks like Klein drove into him on entry.
Maybe he was a little upset about maybe he thought he chopped his nose here getting in the corner or something.
Maybe a late block, but I think he gets into him a little bit here in the bottom of the racetrack, which shoots McAdam up. Breaks his momentum while he tries. Yeah, that definitely got into him there. So that sends him up the track. Now it's stepping out, so he's losing momentum. Klein's going to get him again.
Third time's a charm.
Oh, yeah. Gallagher's giving everybody all the room he can. He was scraping the wall. The round goes to 47. Got Chan the man, it's Chandler Paul in the chat, says, is there a fast repair? Why does everyone look clean? Well, because when they wreck them here, they wreck them hard. They just don't come back out on the track. No, there is no fast repair, Chandler. A lot of these guys, though, have been fixing their trucks all night long. Every pit stop, a little bit better, a little bit better. And here we go, 17 left, and the leaders are coming down with the exception of a few. Alan Vaught, John Osborne, Larry Dickerson, they stay out. Dickerson, though, this really seems to be working out for him. He caught this caution perfectly, was able to not get involved in any of them. He made that late pit stop on the previous yellow, put tires on, probably his last set. So he has about a 7-lap advantage on tires over the top 2. But again, it's not a ton. It's noticeable, and it'll be more noticeable at the end of this run if it goes green to the end. That is a big if.
And he's going to have about 9 trucks behind him that are going to be chasing him with newer tires than he's got.
Yep.
So this will be really interesting. I am surprised that with everybody else, with as few cars on the lead lap as there were, that you didn't see Alan and Jonathan come down. But with Alan, you're in a no-win situation. They're going to do the opposite of what you're doing anyway, I think.
The other question with Alan is he out of tires?
Well, that's a valid point. I didn't think about that.
You know, Osborne's got 4 pit stops to his credit tonight, so you know he's got at least a set sitting there. He could have come down. Maybe he's waiting for that perfect opportunity, which, honestly, this late in the going, I think tonight, right now, 16 to go would have been the time to do it. But decision made. Set of tires sits over the wall.
If you get any later than this, you're not going to have enough time to come back through the field and not enough of a lap differential on the tires there.
And as you know, we've said it already a couple of times, it's just going to put you back in traffic, and the likelihood of you not finishing this thing just goes up.
Wonder if he pulled an Allgaier and pit crew was or the crew chief was telling him to pit, but he decided to stay out on his own.
In the words of Tommy Baldwin, he should have pit.
Yeah.
And if he didn't already say it, he should have pit. And by the way, Justin, you should have pit.
Yeah. The whole conversation.
It's a valid point. The crew chief has a much better view of what's happening than the driver does in those circumstances. That 30,000-foot view the crew chief has, the driver just doesn't. So I know a lot of times you want to make that pit stop, or you don't want to make that pit stop, but you kind of got to listen to the crew chief in a lot of instances. Forget which podcast I was listening to. It was earlier today. They were talking about Earnhardt, and they made a 2-tire call. And he pulls down into pit lane, and before he parks the car in the pit stall, he says, "I'm not leaving until you put on 4."
Yeah, Larry McReynolds was talking about that on DVC.
So what are you going to do? You got to put on 4 and send him back out.
"15-lap shootout here, Steve."
Let's hope. 14 to go at the stripe when we take the green. Alan Vaught, John Osborne. How many times have we said that tonight? Dickerson and McAdam. Dickerson with a little bit of a tire advantage over the guys in front of him, but everybody behind him coming up with fresh rubber. Green flag in the air. A little tire spin from Vaught. He handles it well. Dickerson trying to close off the door from Burke. Oh, contact! Dickerson gets into the 53, roots him to the bottom of the racetrack. How we got away with no wreck there, I don't know, but Dickerson's going to lose some ground, but now Pope gets some contact from Burke. Now there's trouble behind. Now they're wrecking. Now we get the yellow.
Caution, caution, caution. It's all on you, man. It's all on you. You make the call here.
Fortunately, the people that wrecked were not the people that initiated.
And like Albert Anderson said, Larry Dickerson's going to need to be aggressive here, and he certainly was. I just think he overdid it. Well, we'll go to the replay here. I'm just going to back this all the way up. We can really get a better picture as to what really happened here. So Dickerson comes down, closes the door, but it was a little too late. Sends Burke down to the apron. Dickerson chases him down. They quickly go back up the track. Burke keeps his foot in it. So Kilgore drives it in a little too deep, shoots him up the track, gets contact with Goodenough and McAdam, fences the both of them. And Goodenough's going to come down and clip Chris Klein just a touch, and Gallagher. Klein gets through that without a problem. Craig gets the raw end of the deal here. DW getting caught in this as well. Scott Roney. Caution 11, 12 to go. Alan Vaught stays out on the racetrack. So does John Osborne. So their last pit stop at lap 100. We're at about lap 121 right now, or the conclusion of it. Dickerson still in the top 5 on his old set of tires as well. Again, slightly newer than the top 2, but now you've got Burke there with 117 was his last stop. Kelly Kuhl in 5th, same time. Pretty much everybody all the way down to the 12th position in Dave Feit made their stop at lap 117 for one reason or another, mostly for tires. Dave Feit was involved there for some repairs. Josh Bittner make a stop this time by. This is position 13. Lap 121, and everybody else below him, same situation. So they've got some pretty fresh tires back there, but do they have enough time to make their way to the front? So let's try it again. Maybe a 10-lap shootout. I don't think we're done wrecking, though, Chris. This is just kind of the way these things shape up near the end. Everybody amps up the adrenaline and aggressive level.
Yeah, I don't think we're done for sure. Especially with differing tire temps, tire lives. I think we're in for it.
Green flag.
Oh, trouble. Chris Klein in the fence hard.
There, homie.
'18 bottom of the racetrack. Gallagher in the 123 to the right side. Gallagher starts turning in awful early, but the 18 was there. A little combination of A and B. Klein came up a touch, Gallagher came down a touch, and they met in the middle. Well, it is pretty safe to say here at this point, looks like Alan Vaught and Jeremiah Burke kind of married to their strategies at this point. Same situation for Osborne. My guess is, with the exception of Osborne, I think they're out of tires. Again, Osborne, we know for certain, has another set sitting over there. It's too much to make up at this point.
Question for you, Steve. Based on just going back and thinking about the previous couple stints, has Kyle Vaught pit anytime recently?
Kyle Vaught's last pit stop as he runs about 15th was lap 122, the previous caution. It was a long stop, though. Over a minute, 20 seconds. Maybe some damage repair on the 16. I'm not 100% sure. I get limited data in that respect, but potentially a set of tires there. He's made 8 pit stops here tonight, too, so it's a tough call. Maybe he had some just repairs. Maybe he took tires. I don't know.
Gotcha. I was just thinking back to his strategy earlier in the race. I wasn't sure if I don't know what his tire situation is. I was just curious. One thing I have been impressed with the last few restarts here is Alan with his a little bit older tires than everybody else. How well he's been able to launch without with controlling his tire spin or without spinning the tires at all. Just being able to get that early launch and maintain that gap.
Yeah, last couple of restarts, he's definitely kind of barked the tires a little bit and spun them a little, but he's quick to react and get back on throttle without lighting them back up. He has been able to get away nicely. Again, that is kind of the benefit of being the lead car on these restarts, is you get to fire first. But usually once you get those back tires spinning, it's hard to get them to stop. It's really what your natural reaction, you spin the rear tires, is just to immediately lift, which shifts all the weight in the truck forward, which makes the back end lighter. So as soon as you get back on the gas, it's more likely to spin the tire again. Six laps to go at the stripe. Doubled up again. Now it's Alan Vaught, Jeremiah Burke on the front row. Row 2, it's Osborne and Dickerson. Then Pope. Then Cool. Dustin Eaton, Russ Kilgore.
Green flag.
Vaught gets away. Now Tim Pope up to the third spot, trying to maybe look for second place on Osborne into 3. Not quite close enough yet. Burke with a terrible restart slots back to 5th to the outside of Dickerson. Now they got some history here from that previous caution. Dickerson gets clear.
Oh,
Burke. Oh, big time wreck. Osborne to the wall.
There will be a caution.
Wow, they're still wrecking. Osborne, Kilgore, Bittner involved, just to name a few.
Yep. That 81 truck crab walking pretty bad. I think broken.
Left front towed in about 6 inches.
What a shame. He had such a good run all night, too. He never fell back further than probably 5th.
I think the whole front suspension's jacked over to the right about half a foot. Well, let's get a look. Real time. Pope drove it in there. This late in the running, I'm not going to blame him for it at all. Got to go for it. And you got to nose in. I'm sure some people will disagree, but... Now, if it was lap 5 and not 5 to go, I'd have a problem with it. Yeah, Pope keeps it right on that white line. Man, Osborne was really driving that thing. He almost had her saved.
Yep.
So we are on 3 to go. This might send us to our green-white checkered attempt. Thinking it probably will. Again, only one opportunity at that. Find out in a moment. As soon as the timing tower switches from 3 to go to 2 to go. If it switches immediately back to 3 to go, that'll confirm it. There it is. First attempt, green-white checkered finish coming up. So once again, we'll discuss this because there's not always veteran fans out there. How this works. They basically add laps to the race. Green flag will come out. And as long as we don't get a caution before the next time by, we'll get the white flag. If the yellow comes out prior to the white, that's it. Race over. It's their one attempt to try and get this thing in under green flag conditions. Now, in other leagues, sometimes they run 3 attempts, sometimes they run unlimited. The way it works over there is if the caution comes out prior to the leader taking the white flag, they'll line them up, do another green-white checkered, rinse, lather, repeat. Once the leader takes the white, yellow flag will not end it. It's just going to be it. Kelly Cool bumping in the back of Alan Vaught there, just reminding him, hey, I'm here. Pace truck makes the hard left into pit lane.
Green.
There it is, green flag in the air. 2 laps to go. Pope and Kelly Cool side by side for the second spot. Then it's Dustin Eaton and Jeremiah Burke.
That's exactly what Alan wants to see there.
Contact with Tim Pope. He saves it, or does he? Drives it through the grass. White flag is waving. The leader crosses the stripe. Big time wreck in the dogleg, but no caution. They'll race it to the finish. Top 3, it's Vaught, Eaton, and Welch the way they run. Then it's Cool and McAdam. Kyle Vaught in the 5th spot, trying to take that one away. But out of turn 4 into the dogleg, Alan Vaught will pick up the win here at Charlotte. Eaton will be 2nd, Welch will be 3rd, then it's Cool and McAdam the top 5. Tough break for Tim Pope. This was coming to the white. Straighten it out. Then Kilgore, nowhere to go, just drives right up the tailgate. Vaught doing the Polish victory lap here at Charlotte. Celebrating with Kyle Vaught on the backstretch here, entry to turn 3. Well, with that, we'll step aside here. We'll get a short break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Race 13 in the books of the Vigilante Racing League. Alan Vaught driving it up from the 12th position to take the race win here. Quietly, carefully, craftily, if that's even a word. He got it done. Let's see if we can get a word with our race winner. Alan Vaught, driver of the number 33. Alan, it's Steve and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Alan, congratulations, man. It was a wild one. Chaos to start. Kind of a rough one, pretty aggressive all the way around for everybody, but you kind of snuck your way through this field methodically tonight. Walk us through the game plan coming into this race.
Well, I was just trying not to knock myself out of this wild card round, and then it's first lap, I thought, well, there we go. Right off the bat, I ended up getting caught up in that first wreck. I should have qualified better. I played a little bit safe on the quali lap too, not wanting to knock down the wall. And that's my problem. I shouldn't do that. Let's just do my normal thing and go out there and give as much as I can. But I was trying just to be a little conservative, seeing that I had a good lead, coming into this race. I didn't want to just squander it by being unwise on how I attacked the track. But then I was able to repair that. I think I had 1 minute and 20 on that first incident. Repaired it all. And we had that second incident, and I completely stopped on the track, and then everybody started to roll, and then they completely stopped again, and I had another 2 minutes and something I had to get repaired. So it was an eventful first portion of the race. Honestly, I wouldn't be in victory lane right now if it wasn't for those cautions at the end. I hate that for a lot of guys, but it worked out for me. There's been so many times I've been on the other side of that equation that I'll take it.
It goes to show you that not quitting just kind of pays off sometimes. You made 8 pit stops over the course of this one tonight, whether it's for your planned scheduled stops or repairs to the truck. How bad was it in comparison once you finally had the truck fully repaired?
It wasn't as bad. It wasn't full song. I could still feel it. It was looser than it was before I got any damage. So I was having to work with that all night. Honestly, I'd rather have that than to have it a little bit tighter. So I just worked with that, modulated my throttle, had to be aware of the arrow of the truck in front of me because it would just start to really kick out. Well, there was one time, I don't know if you caught it, I got on one of the restarts, it got pretty sideways on me because of the arrow up on the truck I was behind. So that was basically it. It was arrow damage that kind of residual that I couldn't repair.
Well, either way, you drive it to victory lane here tonight, so congratulations on that. You look forward now as we continue into the playoffs. Nashville Super Speedway next week. Different style racetrack, certainly plenty fast. How do you get ready for Nashville Super Speedway?
Man, you need to ask Concrete Carl, like Mike Adamson and some of those other guys that they love the concrete. They get on Bristol or they go out here to Nashville and they just seem to shine. I'm pretty good there. I don't quite have it figured out to the level that some of those guys have. Eaton, I think Eaton's another one. Burke, really good there. Obviously, Pope everywhere we go. I mean, I guess name the playoff drivers. I guess most of those guys are really good. I'll prepare like I always do. Just make sure I'm ready. Then you'll have to have a little bit of luck on your side too, because it's pretty tight racing, kind of like it is here.
Well, Alan, congratulations again, picking up a win here to start the playoffs, man. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, as always, my wife Lori and everything she does for this league, and for me personally. My son Kyle, don't know where he finished at tonight, but
P6.
I hope he had a good time. P6. Okay, that's a good finish for him. I'm glad he's out here racing with us, and his fiance Taylor up there in Chicago pulling for both of us. Track limits for putting on the show tonight, a little messy, albeit hopefully you guys polished it up a little bit and made us look good. But other than that, the drivers in this league, tremendous camaraderie and everything. Hopefully people aren't too upset with each other at the end of this one, but I imagine might be some, but they'll get over it. They're like brothers. They'll yell at each other for a few minutes and then they'll have a beer. So anyway, thanks guys, I appreciate you.
All right, Alan, we appreciate you too. Good luck in post race, man. That'll be fun.
Yeah, take care.
We'll see ya. Alan Vaught, your race winner here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to our runner-up, driver number 14, Dustin Eaton. Started back in P16 here tonight. Let's get a word with second place finisher Dustin Eaton. It's Stephen Chris and Track Limits. You got us?
What's going on, fellas?
Dustin, congratulations, man. You had a fast rocket ship out there in that number 14, just one short at the finish. Walk us through your race. Was there anything you could have done different?
I finished with, I think, almost 40 seconds worth of damage. I mean, I don't know that I did done it any different, given the finish. I just, I wish we could have held it together a little bit more and had some more green flag runs. Jess and Larry and a couple other guys didn't go in and take that last set, so had we had a few more, I might have had this one, but, there was a lot of beating and banging, and just glad to make it to the finish.
Certainly a good thing when you're there at the end of the race on the lead lap with a solid finish and a good-looking truck at that. You're able to avoid some chaos in this one here tonight. There was plenty of that. How close was it tonight for you to end up putting that thing in the wall versus in second place?
I mean, first caution, checking up, people not seeing it in time, slamming through you. I had some damage there. I think, I mean, me and Andy Player, until he had some internet issues, we were pretty much strategizing for the cautions, but I didn't really think they'd be that close. They were up front and center, on half of them that started in front of me, and buddy, I'll tell you what, I barely made it out the skin of my teeth on that one, and just looking forward to Nashville. I know that one's going to be a tough one for us too, and hopefully we can not have as many cautions. It always kills a race, especially a good playoff race, when there's that many cautions end to end, but tough track, tough racing, and you'll have that.
Looking forward to Nashville Super Speedway next week, of course. A little bit wider racetrack, certainly going to be fast, a little more room to work around, but a different racing surface, a concrete surface. How do you perform on those style tracks?
I watched the broadcast last week, and I think you couldn't have said it any better yourself, sir. Is guys with some road course experience, throttle, blipping is definitely more on their favor. I love me some road course racing, and Nashville is not necessarily, but it definitely takes some skill there. And I'm not as great on tires as some of these guys, so really it's going to be a spray and pray mentality. Try to avoid the bull crap and get out of there still in the playoffs. I think we're doing pretty good so far. I think I'm still second. Tough luck for Pope there at the end. He ran a hell of a race and he got barely tapped, so not sure where we're going to fall, but definitely looking forward to it, fellas.
Second place nonetheless. Congratulations, man. Who do you want to thank?
Wife, first and foremost. She kept the little man out of the room so I can do the race tonight. And Team Tang got Andy, Craig, Dustin Wade, and Kevin Hunt, and Lori Jess for putting it on, and you guys for showing us hooligans out here. Greatly appreciate it.
Fair enough, man. Dustin, thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week in Nashville.
See you guys. Thanks.
Dustin Eaton, your runner-up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to old DW in the number 21 Toyota, our third-place finisher here tonight. We'll see if Derek Welch has anything to say about his trip around Charlotte this evening. Derek, it's Steve and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got us both?
What's up?
Derek, congratulations, man. Third place after a front-row starting position. A chaotic event here tonight. Walk us through your race. I know you were involved in some of these incidents, but still managed to battle back for the top three finish.
Yeah, we started off there, and then like beginning of the race, I let Osborne and Pope get in front of me, and Pope got a little loose in front of me, and I couldn't shake up in time, and that caused the first wreck. And I apologize to Pope for getting into him. I tried to shake up, but couldn't avoid him, but and then I got collected in another accident, and then I got caught speeding down pit road. So all in all, I'm just thankful for getting third. I had a long running truck. I was conserving tires and felt like I had a good truck to at least get at least a second. Or hell, I believe I could have won because I was tracking down Larry at the end there, and I wanted the runs. And I just wish these cautions wouldn't come out and see what we can have for them at the end. But it is what it is. Third place, start off the playoffs. I'm thankful I'm top three in the playoffs.
Well, it's a good way to get this thing started. It was a little chaotic, as we said, but if you end the thing out with a top three, that's certainly not a bad night by any means. Carry some of that momentum into Nashville next week. How do you prepare for the concrete Nashville Super Speedway?
I haven't run it much. I'm going to have to try to find time to practice it. I don't remember me even running Nashville any. I'm sure I have at one point or another, but I don't remember, so I don't know how it runs. So hope and pray, I guess.
It's a good place to start. Derek, congrats again on third place. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
My teammates, Larry, Dylan, Chris, John McAdam. Larry had a great truck tonight. He got caught up some snaggings tonight. Dylan also, Chris. I think all my teammates got caught up in it. Thanks for Lori and Alan running a great lead over here. I can't run in my own league, so they give me a place to run. So thankful for that, and thanks for a great broadcast, Steve.
All right, Derek. Well, thanks for the kind words. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Derek Welch, third place finisher here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's going to wrap up the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. We'll get to our race results. Of course, we talked to Alan Vaught, Dustin Eaton, Derek Welch, the top three. Kelly Kuhl was fourth. John McAdam came home in the fifth spot. Kyle Vaught was sixth. Anthony Williams came home in the seventh position. Andrew Player was eighth. Ninth place was Larry Dickerson. Tim Pope, even after his chaotic event tonight, first lap was crazy, last lap was crazy. He still comes home with the top 10. Josh Bittner was 11th, Scott Roney 12th, Jeremiah Burke 13th, Chris Klein 14th, Russ Kilgore was 15th, David Feit 16th, John Osborne 17th, Dave Mayberry was 18th, Trevor Robertson 19th, Greg Klein was 20th. 21st place was John Gallagher. 22nd went to Kevin Hunt. Craig Goodenough 23rd, Greg Dobson 24th, Dylan Bryant, tough break for the 51, he's 25th. 26th was Andrew Cawthon, Dustin Wade 27th, Sean McDonald 28th, Dion Jones with mechanical issues with his wheelbase, he finishes 29th. Mike Everidge 30th, 31st was Jack Dixon, Stoney Benfield 32nd, Mike Adamson 33rd, and last but not least in 34th it's Ricky Wittenberg. And I don't think he took the green flag, or if he did, he was involved in that first lap incident. It's actually him and Mike Adamson, both 133 laps down of this, well, scheduled 133 laps. We ended up running about 135 with the overtime finish. That'll wrap up the race results, though. Race 13 in the books. We look towards Nashville Super Speedway next week. Chris, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm looking forward to being on the concrete next week. Very different track, so we're going to see the tire conservation shine there next week, so we'll see who can make it to the top.
Certainly looking forward to it, guys. Obviously, thanks for jumping in the stream chat tonight. As always, kept it busy, makes it fun for us. We love interacting with you guys and answering questions if we can. We do, even if you're just cheering on your favorite driver, it doesn't matter to us. We just appreciate your presence. If you haven't already, hit the like button, smash that thumbs up, help us out. That's a good thing for us and the league. Just gets fresh eyeballs on what's going on here at Track Limits. Subscribing, that's always important. I'm pretty sure most of you, if not all of you, are already subscribers, so I thank you for that. If you haven't, no hard feelings, just get it taken care of. We appreciate it. Again, join us next week, Nashville Super Speedway. For Chris Goins, I'm Steve Singer, congratulating Alan Vaught on the race win here tonight. We'll see you guys at the next one. Thanks for watching.
See you.